thank you for those words on the speaking too. I always tell people I'm very good at a few things and I suck at everything else, right? I mean, that's just the reality of it. So I just lean into what I'm good at. Speaking on stage is something that is a very easy DNA sort of deal. Pattern recognition is another thing that I've been gifted with, but it's also something that's interesting. And you put those two things together and that's a dangerous combination, right? It's interesting because I start to look and go, okay, well then what does this mean? I started thinking ripple effects as a young person, right? And so I remember very clearly picking that up and going, okay, so there's somewhat of a game going on. So I'd start to take a look for that game playing out. And it was right about 8 years old-ish, third grade, where I went, oh, this school thing's actually really easy. Like it's really easy to get all the teachers to like you, to get the A's. Like there's actually kind of a system to it. So I can just do this system and I'm not going to have to try. I'm not going to have to really put in the effort.
I was so opposite. I was so like, I figured out there was a system and I'm not going to be part of your system.
And that's...
But I was like, I was just the total rebellious.
But dude, the parents want that version. I'm telling you, freedom demands the version you just talked about.
Yeah, but it causes so much conflict.
It does because adults are so trained, right? Yeah. Because really we should be cultivating that understanding that, well, like I'm going to go ahead and carve my own path, right? Is what education is ultimately about, which is what we're going to get into. I mean, that's it. That's what education is ultimately about. I fell in the trap that so many young people do of going, okay, well, cool. I'll play this game. And the problem is you play that game for long enough, you don't know how to do anything else other than play that freaking game, right? So 18-year-old Matt had gotten his straight A's, had gotten his really high SAT scores, was good at sports, was good at girls, and then came out and went, now what? Like, I don't know anything. I don't know anything about myself. I'm not that, I'm confident playing a sport, confident, cocky talking to a girl, not really confident. I haven't earned anything, like I know how to be the big, the swinging PP or whatever. So I'm going, all right, well, I guess I'll go to college. That's what everybody else does. It was the same thing. 4 years of straight, even 4 years of straight A's.
So even identifying the system, you still fell into the system.
I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
And everybody said you had to go to college, right? So I didn't know.
So how did you graduate high school? Is it good grades?
Straight A's.
Straight A's.
Oh, yeah, straight A's through.
Crazy.
Straight A's through. Easy. No work. I'm not that smart. There was no work involved. I just figured out the system. I figured out the system of taking tests. I figured out, right?
Man, not me.
And I figured that system out. Like I could read and
total CD student.
See it, dude. Yeah. And I think it's freaking, like, I look at it now as somebody who owns schools and starts schools and has worked with the highest institutions of, higher learning like I look at that and go, man, that's probably a good sign. Which I know is so counterculture, but it's probably a good sign. But you figure out, like,
I just think I didn't put any effort. The reality was I didn't put any effort into it because I didn't think it was important. And it wasn't important to me.
Right. Well, to you, right?
Yeah.
Education is wildly personal.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem.
And that's what's crazy is education itself, knowledge is important to me.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Schooling.
Yeah.
Is different.
It was
Schooling
just I saw it as a huge waste of time.
Correct.
I was like, this is just a waste of time.
Correct. Which it is. And and everybody listening has either asked it themselves as a student or they had somebody in their class who asked the teacher, why do we have to do this?
Yeah.
Everybody's had that.
Everybody's
had it. And
Mark,
the teacher.
Have you asked that when you were?
Did you ask it or did you have somebody in school who asked that question?
I definitely asked it.
For sure. Why do we have to? So what was the answer that you got? Yeah, from the teacher. Like, if you asked that question, what did you get? What was the response like?
Maybe something like we need it or something.
Yeah, you said because everybody.
And you graduated college too, is right? With what?
Bachelor's.
In what?
Sport management.
That's right.
Yeah. So you get those responses like, well, everybody needs it, or because this is just what we do, or because it's going to be on the test, or it's because there's no actual like, well, here is actually how this is going to apply to you, because you actually can't have that conversation.
So you graduated high school,
so go to college.
A's, and then how fast did you go to college? Straight out?
Yeah, I went right away.
For what?
Yeah, right away. Get better at sports and better at girls. Like that was it. I graduated with a degree in kinesiology because I liked sports, not because I knew what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So
your degree is in kinesiology.
Yeah, in kinesiology. Yeah, and then so the degrees in kinesiology. And again, I learned.
I laugh because I know about I know what you do and what a little bit about your career. It's just so that's why it's funny.
For sure.
That your degree is in kinesiology.
Yeah. And then today, what happened? Like you and I were working out, and you're like, "Hey, man, look, this is how this stuff is connected."
I have no degree in kinesiology.
You have no degree, and you helped alleviate some of the back issues that I've got this morning, right? So again, I mean, it's it's these obvious pictures that everybody knows. We just don't want to emotionally just go, okay, we don't want to recognize it, you know? So
I was having that conversation about education, or not education. I've had that conversation with my coaches and Allie and a bunch of my friends about experiences versus certifications.
Oh yeah.
Because people, you know, like with the Agoge and different things, like, what's your certifications? I'm like, I just roll my eyes. Because I'm like, I know so many people with certifications that don't know shit.
It means nothing.
It means nothing. I was like, well, how about combined years of, like, I don't know, 80 to 100 years of experience?
Sure. Well, it's an inherent logical fallacy too, and like an appeal to authority, right? So people go, okay, well, you know, what is your certification? How much school do you have behind that? And what I like to ask, if I know a little bit about their background, is I might say, okay, well, are you Muslim? No, I'm not Muslim. I go, well, why not? Why don't you listen to an imam who has gone to school for a long time to learn about this? Well, because I don't agree with the ideology. Bingo. So if you don't agree with the foundational premise,
real way out there thing to ask, but that brings it right back to it.
It brings it right back to it, because it's like, look, you can put if you say you put your weight in the amount of time somebody spent in something, the problem is you can find dueling ideologies that have spent equal amount of time.
Right.
So you're not really putting your weight in that. You're putting your weight in whatever the premise is that they're saying in the first place, right? That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. So if you don't agree with that premise, it doesn't matter how much school somebody has in it.
Yeah.
I don't agree with where they started in the first place, so it doesn't matter. You can be the ninja of all of this over here, the ultimate god of the world as far as this goes.
Right.
If I don't agree with where that started, I don't care. So the certifications, I'm with you. I mean, they don't mean anything. We have this credentialistic view it's silly.
That's just essentially just made up.
It's made up.
Yeah.
100%.
Total make-believe.
There are people that have spent a lot of time and years in things that matter, for sure. But again, it's wildly personal. So I get to decide if that matters and if they've taken steps and spent time in a direction that I want to also go.
Yeah.
Then it matters.
Are you talking more along the lines of, like, and we'll get back to you in a sec, but
No.
you're down the road. Are you talking more along the lines of like a doctor or a surgeon or something like that?
And even that. So a surgeon, I mean, great. I have no ability to perform surgery on myself, and right. So I'm gonna acquiesce. I'm gonna go to that.
Right.
We use doctors as blanket term. Well, there's all kinds of different doctors, right? And so, you know, I mean, what the recent COVID BS, you know, you saw all that as it is. You had a whole bunch of doctors who were saying one thing, a whole bunch of other doctors who were saying other things.
Well, they were silenced.
And they were silenced, but they still had the same amount of schooling and training, right?
Right.
So then it's like, okay, well, what else is at play here? Where did you get your training? Where are you looking at your research? Where are you? So, I mean, that's the whole thing is people need, and it sucks because people want to just abdicate responsibility for what they know to somebody else who's the quote unquote expert without vetting the expert, without going down the rabbit hole themselves, without doing the research themselves. Everybody wants to push schooling out to somebody else and just tell me what to do, what to think. You know, that's where, and that's gross.
Immediately, as soon as you said, like, just tell me what to think and what to do, I'm like immediately turned off. I'm like, I'm out, bro. Like,
100%.
And that's the rebellion. That's the
100%.
rebellious spirit in me. I'm just like, you're not going to tell me what to do.
Me too.
Yeah.
Get out of here.